My favorite strategy that we learned this year has been the passion project strategy. The first step of the passion project activity and strategy is to pick your assessment topic, and I chose to do this at the end of the unit as an alternative to a written test, but you can also do this in addition to a test if you want to do an extra assessment. The second step is to research a bunch of projects with a variety of products, but it's important to keep the student's interests in mind. So when I was doing my research, I was, looking all over teacher by teacher, the internet, some of the resources provided by Cobb County, but I was definitely keeping in mind the product and how I could get my more artistic kids to be involved, how I could get my more writing inclined students to have a product that they'd be excited about, as well as my more logical thinkers that wanted more of a challenge or a problem-based assignment. The third step of my strategy was to choose 2 to 4 options and create rubrics for each. Sometimes I could find rubrics that were already uploaded, which was really nice for me, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough criteria for the students so that they could have the chance to work independently on whatever project they chose, so that I wasn't having to give too much whole group instruction, because obviously that would not work when students are doing different projects. So the more information you can provide them, the better. And this definitely is handled best with rubrics or checklists. The fourth step was to take the projects that I compiled and just create a brief summary of each and what the final product would be and what the process of the project would be. And I introduced these to the students so that they had an idea of what they would be doing. Step 5, I allowed the students to come up to my smartboard and they tallied next to the project that they wanted to complete, and they were able to basically take ownership in the choice that they made, and that allowed me to provide the correct number of rubrics and copies to the students. Step 6 just included me getting the right rubrics and checklists and information to the right students, and that happened a couple days after step 5 when I got my tally, because I needed time to get the copies and everything. But the students from that point, they were just given the material, and I let them read and ask questions that day, and from that point forward is when they started working. The best part about the passion project is that step 7 is just pretty much the teacher walking around and facilitating the creativity of the students by listening in on conversations, providing feedback, but really letting the students take ownership and creative freedom and liberties in how they want to design their final product. In our genetics unit, there are several different options, but the first project that I chose to offer the students was a project called Alien Orphanage, and it's something that I got from Cobb County's CTLS resource website, and it was really neat because this was more for my logical, mathy type students that like to solve puzzles, and they were asked to basically decipher a scenario and match which child belongs to which parent after a huge alien explosion happens on a planet and they don't have any records to match them. And so they used the context clues that were given to them, and they were required to make Punnett squares in order to determine which parent goes with which child. So there's a lot of backwards thinking design, but they were also required to write a letter for each of the families deciphering how they came up with their final solution and how they know that this child belongs with this parent and how certain they actually are. So this was fun for my students, like I said, that were more logical thinkers that love to solve puzzles. The second project that I chose to offer my students was a genetic disorder convention poster. So the students were tasked with the challenge of creating a poster that would be presented at a convention for genetic disorders, and it had to be professional, and it had to involve a genetic disorder that they feel passionate about and that they can connect with somebody, whether family, friends, but I gave them the freedom to choose which genetic disorder that they wanted to talk about. And in this poster that you're seeing here, this is actually one of my students that I have not been able to get to participate in pretty much anything in class. And this was like the first project all year for a very gifted child that I received. And from this point forward, because she loved this project so much, she started participating more in my class because she saw the feedback that her peers gave her, as well as me, the teacher. And she felt so encouraged and she felt capable, and she has been flourishing ever since. So this project was really good for someone like her that was able to talk about her brother and his struggles with Asperger's syndrome and be able to share that with her peers who normally don't pay her much attention. The third project that I offered, I wanted to target more of my writing community, those that really have strengths in ELA. So I chose to do a cloning argumentative essay, and it actually correlated with what ELA was doing at the time. They were in the process of learning how to write an argumentative essay. So I was using the rubrics that ELA provides their students so that it was common amongst the two classes. And some of the ELA teachers were able to help the students with their final products by reading through their essays and providing feedback. And they actually ended up presenting these essays and reading them to the class. And they were very good because the students that chose to do the essay were ones that normally don't want to, get involved in too many group things, or they don't really feel like they are great with creative products in terms of posters or videos or any of that sort of element. And so this was a way for them to really channel in their ELA skills and create an essay that they were proud to read in front of the class. So this really got some of my more introverted students to share their ideas and opinions in class, which was very meaningful.